Hey everybody. This is JJ Conway. You probably already knew that. If you're watching this, you're probably watching it on one of my channels. Um, okay, so this is awkward, but many of you know I was really excited about taking the summer off to really spend time with the family, and I'm super excited about that. Um, the reason I seem so kind of heavy is because one of my oldest friends is burying her stepdad today. And several of you who are on my mailing list, you've known that there's been a lot of loss in my life or the lives of my friends. So I've had several friends that have passed away in the last couple months, and I've had a friend's husband, and several friends have lost parents. And it's just been a constant barrage of loss upon loss upon loss upon loss. And I kept saying, well, I will get back into my podcast and I will do all these things. And I'm just like, I just haven't done it. And then today I had a thing for interviewees for my conference. So we have a conference coming up, and this is the first time that we're making it a huge virtual event. And in the past, it's been an in-person kind of smaller event, maybe 50 people, five or six speakers, 50 people. But and last year we went virtual, but this year we're trying to really do it up. If we're going to do it virtual, let's go big or go home, right? Well, we ended early because not everybody showed up that I thought would. And I think it was a good thing that not everybody showed up when I look at it, because I couldn't focus. And I wasn't even going to make this video, but then I thought, there's other people who are going through the same thing, right? Like you have these things that come and hit you, and it's just hard to put one foot in front of the other. And so I said, well, I have extra time before this appointment is supposed to be up. Let me go ahead and just, make a little message. And I want to encourage people today that it really is okay to take the time you need to grieve, and it's okay to take the time you need to do the things that you have to do. There's one thing about my life that you'll find. I have a lot of mistakes. Sure, I make a lot of mistakes. I got a lot of foot and mouth. Like I am a recovering foot and mouth diseaseaholic, right? Like I say a lot of wrong things, and I'm constantly asking the Lord to forgive me. Like, you think after 23, 24 years of walking with the Lord, like I would really have this holiness, righteousness, season my words with grace thing down, right? Like you just think I would, and I don't. um I'm still a work in progress. Anybody else out there still a work in progress, right? Um, but one thing that I don't have in my life is I don't have a lot of regrets. Like, I don't look back on my life and I don't wish, oh, I wish I would have done this, and oh, I wish I would have done that. And I think about the two family members of mine that have passed away. I'm not necessarily extended family members, but I think about the two family members of mine that I was close to that passed away in recent years. And with both of them, I remember feeling very strongly led of the spirit to reach out to them. And one was my grandmother. I was pregnant with a Philip, and we were stationed in Oklahoma City at the time. And we had just traveled to the what do you call it? We had just traveled to the Northeast jurisdictional meeting in April and not missed our flight. The flights were delayed, weather or something. So we slept. I'm like 4 months pregnant, sleeping on the floor of the airport. And it was the worst experience ever. I was in so much pain. I was so miserable. And we decided I was not going to travel anymore after that. And so other than driving, we weren't going to fly anymore. And maybe a month or two later is when my I got this feeling that I needed to call my grandma. And my family is an overseas family, so we're never very close. And but I felt very strongly led to call my grandma, and I did. And in calling her, she began to tell me how proud she was of me. She began to tell me how her and the people in her church were praying for my ministry. Like, these are not words that I've ever gotten from anybody in my family. And I don't mean to be rude to my family, because but now that I'm sitting here watching all this grief and getting through all this grief, I kind of feel like it's time out for pretending a lot of things. And most of the people that speak into my life from my family, it's the other side. It's the get off your high horse. Who do you think you are? You're not that special. You don't have a calling. You're wasting your life. Okay. And I know some of you are like, oh my goodness, I can't believe she said that on a video, but that's what I get from my family. Okay. And so there's only two people in my life that whenever I've called them have been supportive. One was my dad and the other was my grandma. But I never had such a long conversation with my grandma before. It was always, she would call me every once in a while and we'd have a little nice, pleasant chat. Well, how are you doing? I'm doing fine. How's the Air Force? Air Force is fine. How's the ministry? Ministry is fine. Okay, love you. Bye. Like that's been those phone calls. But this one was like, we're driving down the highway and I'm getting antsy because I'm pregnant. Now remember, I'm pregnant. We're on the highway and I already, even before the car accidents, before all those car accidents, I already was antsy about any kind of talking while I'm driving, right? And so she's telling me all this, and I didn't know at the time because my family is half Italian, and so the Italian half of my family is all Catholic, so I thought, and the the other half of my family is Lutheran, so which is like Catholic, but it's Protestant. You know what I mean? So like I did not expect, right? I didn't find out until years later when I went to my grandfather's funeral that my grandmother was actually Baptist and her church ladies had been praying for me. So we're having this conversation. I'm not realizing the gravity of what she's telling me. It's a very pleasant conversation. She's telling me some things about the family. We're talking about the ministry. We're talking about all these things. And she's letting me know how she prays for me all the time. And we get off the phone and y'all, within a week, she was gone. And no one expected it. She was gone. It was a total shock to the family, but she was gone. And I thought to myself, if I hadn't called her, that would be a regret, but I felt so strongly led to call her. And after that, anytime I felt strongly led about something, I was going to do it, whether I felt like it was the right thing or whether I felt silly or what, because every time I felt strongly led, it prevented me from having a regret in my life later on. And I'm gonna tell you, sometimes these things are really awkward, but I remember how many of you were on my Think and Grow Rich class, my Think and Grow Rich class in fall of 2019. It's the last time I taught it. The fall in 2019, I'm in the middle of a class. We'd already rescheduled one of the lessons, right? And so we're doing like a makeup or something. And I'm teaching this lesson. I'm like, you know what? I need to reach out to my dad. I need to reach out to my dad. I need to reach out to my dad. And I'm like, okay, I need to reach out to my dad. And it is so strong in me that I need to reach out to my dad. And I have to pause the class. And so everybody's still listening, right? And I try to call my dad, and so I'm teaching this class on the computer and I get my phone and I'm trying to call my dad and I don't get an answer. So I leave a message and then I text him a message. And sometimes with my dad, like he would answer and not answer, or a couple of days later, he might answer. But I tell you, we teach that class on Thursday nights. And the next Thursday I was driving to his house because he had passed away that morning from a sudden heart attack. And my father was very into fitness, and I don't think any of us saw a heart attack coming. And I say this because I want to encourage you to follow those leadings of the Spirit, because I don't want anybody else to have any regrets. And I'm not saying that my friends who had all the losses, I'm not saying, this is not me saying that somebody had regrets. I don't think anybody did. I don't know that anybody did. Most of the people that I'm friends with, they walk in the Spirit. But I'm saying, I think about it in my life and I think about how often I could have had these issues or these regrets or these broken hearts over things that I felt led to do that I didn't do. Even when it comes as small as last night, taking all of my stuff out of my car because I felt led that when I took it to go get the battery recharged, that I wasn't taking my car. Now, I was joking with my husband that if the Lord knew I was not going to have my car that night, maybe he could have put the right things in place so that the car could have been fixed on the spot. But sometimes his timeline is not our timeline. And I think he wanted me to meet the people that I met who tried to help me fix my car. Sometimes things work roundabout that way, but I know one thing. I know that I felt led to take my luggage out of my car and take my toiletries out of my car and take my computer bag and all that stuff out of my car, because it was very strongly impressed upon me that I was not bringing my car home that night. And I was like, what? No, we've been having these issues for years. It's no big deal. We're going to switch out the battery. We probably got to, it's an older battery. We're going to switch out the battery. It's no big deal. And so I want to encourage you today. There's a lot of loss that's been going on. And so the first thing that I want to say about all of this loss is try to live your life so that you're not going to have any regrets. And right now, if you're listening to me and you're feeling like, if I died today, I would regret X, Y, and Z. I mean, realistically, if you died today, you're probably not going to be thinking about X, Y, and Z. But if that's the feeling that came up, then take care of X, Y, and Z. Or if you think about your husband died today, or if your child died today, or if your parent died today, you would regret X, Y, and Z. Take care of that today. Take care of that today. Don't leave it sitting. Don't leave that energy in your heart. Don't leave those regrets in your subconscious. Take care of it today and clear out your emotions, clear out your brain power, clear out your energy. Okay. And the second thing that I would say is really to get your house in order. All these losses have been a real eye opener for me. And I had known for a while that my insurance wasn't going to be adequate now that I'm at a higher learning and my business is international, and I had to take the steps to take care of that stuff. I'm not saying sue me. Don't you sue me. The Lord's going to get you real good. Don't you dare. The Lord loves his people. I'm telling you right now, this is not an invitation to sue me, but I had to get some things in order because I realized, tomorrow is not promised. And most of my friends that have passed away, most of their parents that have passed away, most of their loved ones, their children. I mean, I've had a friend that lost their child. I mean, there are a few of them that we knew were sick. There are a few of them that got suddenly sick, like with COVID, but most of them were people that we did not have any indication that they would not be here with us today. So please, I am imploring you to please get your house in order. Make sure that you are adequately insured. And if you can't be insured due to a medical situation, make sure you just take stock of the needs of your family and do what you can to make sure that they would be okay if you aren't here anymore. Some of you watching today, you might say, well, I'm a stay-at-home mom or I'm a stay-at-home dad, and I don't really contribute financially to the household, but you do contribute. You may manage the house. You might be cooking. You might be cleaning. You might be running people where they need to go. That's a management job, and not everybody can do that job. When I took stock of my life and I realized that my son was already, I've only got 2 more years of school, 2.5. He's a sophomore. I've only got 2 more years of school left. And then he's out on his own. I was like, oh. So I've started teaching him how to manage the household and teaching him how to go shopping and buy stuff. And you think, oh, well, all the kids know how to go shopping. They know how to go shopping, but do they know how to plan food for a family? Do they know how to plan meals for a week? Do they know how to take care of this and take care of that? It's time out for us living in the moment. It's time for us to start thinking strategically. And so that we can not only pass on a generational legacy of abundance, also to pass on a generational legacy of independence. And the last thing that I'm going to say is a generational legacy of health. And this is one I have been getting really, really bad looks. I've been getting a lot of side eye over this, y'all, because lately it has been really impressed upon me that I have got to be more serious about my health and strength. And I go through these cycles. I do well, and then I get derailed, and I do well, and I get derailed, and then I do well, and then I get derailed. And I like to try and think that I'm doing well all the time, but the pictures don't lie. There's a phrase that I like to say and remind myself when I'm about to eat something I shouldn't eat. It says, what you eat in public, what you eat in private shows up in public. And what we do in private shows up in public. It shows up on our body. It shows up in our eyes. It shows up in our energy. And so if you have these regrets, and if you have things that are not taken care of, if you have these unhealthy habits, not only are you siphoning your life right now, your life force is going away every time you put something into your body that isn't supposed to be there, or every time that you choose not to sleep so that you can, like me, surf Facebook or watch Netflix. I mean, I don't know if anybody else has that struggle, but the struggle is real, y'all. Every time that we make these choices, we're making a choice for death, not a choice for life. And so I know that this is probably not the most encouraging way for me to restart my podcast after the summer, but I kind of felt like I keep waiting for me to not have a loss this week. And there's been like a loss, a death, a burial every week. So we're going to just kick it off, and we're just going to be raw and real. And I'm going to meet you guys where I am, and y'all going to meet me where you are, and we are going to move forward. But I want us to move forward in abundance, because even though my heart is heavy, I know that I'm still going to do the work that I'm called to do. And even though my friends are grieving, I know that they are still structuring their lives to be able to do what they're called to do. I just don't want anybody to hear me and to be under the sound of my voice and think that they have to stuff those feelings or ignore those feelings or overcome those feelings through grit and determination. No, let's take the time to come before the Lord and to let him wrap his arms of love around us, to let him comfort us with that Holy Spirit who is called the comforter in the Gospels, and let him wipe away every tear from our eyes, and let him put us in families that can support us and take us to the next level. Those are promises to us. Those aren't just nice to have, but they're actually part of our birthright. Once you have been adopted into the kingdom of the Lord, that becomes your birthright. Take advantage of everything that your Father has outlined for you to help you get through these difficult times. And in the coming weeks, I'm hopeful that I'll be able to help equip through some financial and abundance oriented teaching, some things to help you get through the trying times that are still yet to come. I'm JJ Conway. Thank you so much for watching.